Hey quilty friends, thank you so much for joining me on this Sew Along at Home. I'm really excited to kick this off. We are going to be making together this quilt. It is called Kora. It is a free download from Art Gallery Fabrics. Great thing about doing it together is that I can share some tips and tricks with you that I've learned along the way. A couple things that you need to gather up before we get started today is some fabric, right? So you're gonna need a light background and a dark background, a yard of light and a yard and a half of dark, okay? Whatever you got at home, you can make this scrappy. And then you need to pick your prints. So I went with 10 assorted Art Gallery fabric prints. The collection is called Bloomsbury. We have the kit available if you like these colors. And then you just need to stay tuned. So today we're gonna be cutting out and working on our centers. So check it out. So the first cuts we're going to make are with the background fabric. So that is your light and your dark, okay? So right here I have my light and all of my cuts are going to be the same. That's what makes this quilt so easy. So our squares are going to be 8 5/8. So we are using the mat here because I only have a 6.5 inch ruler. So I'm just going to come over 8 and I'm going to go to my 5/8 here using my ruler, come up here to 5/8, and just so you know 5/8 is the little dash right after your 1/2 inch mark, and I'm going to make my cut. Okay, so then I would turn my piece of fabric and I am like a double up person, so I'm going to fold this guy over. And I'm going to do pretty much the same thing. I'm going to cut off my end and my salvage, so my fold and my salvage. And then I need 8 5/8. So I'm counting over 8. And then I'm going to come to my 5/8 inch mark, which is the little dash right after my 1/2 inch mark. And I'm going to cut. That's discard. And then I have all these great blocks. So I need a total of 16 of my light and 19 of my dark. Okay friends, now that we have our background squares cut, I'm going to take them and I'm going to set them to the side, okay? I am going to show you a picture of this pattern because I want you to know what we're going to be working on next. This is called Kora. It is a completely free download from Art Gallery Fabrics. I just wanted you to kind of get an idea of what we'll be working on. The first pieces that I want you to pick are going to be these 4 centers. They are going to be going with the dark background piece, so I would suggest picking your favorite. So this one happens to be my favorite, so this is the one I'm going to pick. And I need to cut 4 8 5/8 inch squares out of this fabric, okay? The next ones that we're going to be picking are going to be our 4 corners. Now notice they go with a light background, so you're going to pick fabrics accordingly, and I have chosen 4 of my favorites right here. Then I want you to take a close look at this center. Again, we're working just on the centers right now. So see this guy? They do have him with a different colored background. You don't have to do that. If your fabrics lend itself to that, then go for it. Mine happened to. I have a great little teal piece in all of this that I'm going to use. So again, 8 5/8 inch blocks, 1 of each of your 5 centers to go with the light background, and then 4 to go with the dark background. So these are my squares. I cut them previously. And then now we're going to match them up. Okay guys, I have come over to my sewing machine and I have my blocks laid out to the side. They are right sides together, my background and my print fabric. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch around all 4 sides. After you have sewn all 9 of your print blocks to your background blocks, right side together, you should have a stack that looks similar to this. Now notice that mine are not exactly perfect. That is totally okay, because we are gonna cut these apart and then we will square them up at the end. So let me show you here what we're gonna do. From each one of these sewn pieces, we're gonna get 4 half square triangles. So what I'm gonna do here is, from my point to point, I'm going to cut. If you have a rotating mat, this would be super helpful at this point. Otherwise, I'm gonna swing around here, and from this direction, from point to point, I'm gonna do exactly the same thing without actually picking up my pieces. And from there, I will have 4 half square triangles. All right, after all of our half squares are cut, we're going to come over here to the ironing board so that we can press the half square triangles. Okay, look how cute that is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my half square and I'm going to open it up. Okay, and remember they're in sets of 4. And what we're going to do here is press our seam open. I'm not a huge fan of pressing open, but it is really necessary for this because there's a lot of points coming together. I'm definitely using a mini iron. I love a mini iron. And then I am also using Best Press, okay? Great little quilter starch. Give it a spray. These are on the bias, so we really want to prevent any stretching. So there we go. So I'm going to continue this till I have all of my pieces ironed. Okay friends, now that I've got all of my half squares pressed, I have this seam pressed open, I need to square these guys up. So I need them to be 5.5 inches square. So like many of you, I'm sure, I forgot to get a square up ruler. If you have a square up ruler, great. I don't, so I happen to have this guy, which is just your basic 6.5 by 24.5 inch ruler. It has my 45-degree angle line here, and here's my 5.5 inch mark. So this is how I'm gonna square up my blocks. This is 5.5 here, so I'm gonna take a little off, and I'm gonna take a little off both sides, and I have my 45 lined up on my sew line. So you can see here that these are plenty big for us to square up and trim down. So let me just show you. I'll take one. I'm going to trim off on 2 sides. I'm going to rotate, and then I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm placing it right back on my 5.5 inch now line here and here. And I'm lining up my 45 on my seam line, and I'm going to take off my 2 edges on this side. So now I am left with a perfect 5.5 inch half square triangle. So what I'd like you to do is go ahead and trim up all of your center half square triangles at 5.5 inches. Okay, go ahead and get all those half squares trimmed up to 5.5 inches. You should end up with 9 different sets of 4, okay? 4 of those sets will have a dark background, and the remaining 5 will have the light background. Let's get that done, and then when we come back together next time, we'll start working on the outside.